All right. Hey, before I go into the next question, there was something else I want to say about the second question, which is why does the Earth orbit the sun? Again, the Earth is orbiting the sun. It's following this path around the sun because the sun's gravity is pulling it, or it is the sun, or the Earth is being attracted to the sun, which is just another object that has mass. Um, and the gravity is keeping the Earth following this kind of this curvy path, or this path, and also because of inertia. The Earth is at motion; it's moving, and there's nothing really else. There's nothing anything that's stopping it. Remember, inertia is an object is going to stay in motion, and an object is going to stay at rest unless something or some other force acts upon it. So an object is going to stay in motion unless something stops it, and an object is going to be at rest unless something puts it into motion. But again, that's why it's orbiting the sun. But also, because of gravity, a lot you might think that gravity is just an object falling to the ground, like that's gravity. But don't don't always think of gravity as just something that's pulling something down. Gravity is a force that is attracting another object. Like yes, gravity is pulling this downward. Gravity is just pulling on something. Gravity is all about forcing something towards you. That's what gravity is all about. And so, like if you look at this, gravity isn't really causing Earth to fall, but it's forcing it in motion. It's the sun's gravity is attracting it to the sun's gravity is attracting the Earth towards it. That's why the Earth is always going around the sun. So don't think of gravity as just something that causes an object to go down. Gravity is all about the force that attracts something. All right. So now the last question. Why can it always be springtime? What causes seasons to change? So right now, we are in springtime, thank goodness. I don't know about you, but I hate the winter. I hate the cold, and I wish it could be springtime all the time, and we could just get rid of the cold. Unfortunately, it does not work like that. You notice that the Earth has different seasons. We have springtime, wintertime, summertime, and fall time. So the question is, why do those seasons change? Well, if you remember, the Earth the Earth is always rotating on its axis, and that causes the Earth to kind of be at a tilt. So I created this. This is kind of like my Earth. And the blue just represents the water. And this little squiggly line right here and everything inside of it, that's supposed to represent the northern hemisphere, the land of the northern hemisphere. And the N just means north or northern hemisphere, the land in the northern hemisphere. And this part, the squiggly line, just represents all the land in the southern hemisphere. And there's a line that goes through the middle of it. That is the equator. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that when we have, like I said, the Earth is rotating on its axis, which means that it's tilted. The Earth isn't like it doesn't look like this, where it kind of sits up straight. The Earth isn't like that. It actually tilts. Okay? Actually, the Earth looks like that. So, when we are in our summer months, If you notice, what do you notice? You might notice that the northern hemisphere, or the land in the northern hemisphere, it's kind of being tilted more towards the sun. And you can see that the sunshine is directed directly towards the northern hemisphere. And so when the land in the north faces the sun more directly, that means that area, that northern hemisphere, it gets more sunshine and it gets hotter, which means our days get longer, we have more sunshine during the day, our days get longer, and it's hot outside. So whenever our northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun like this and it's closer, it means we're in our summer months. If you notice, if we're in our summer months, the southern hemisphere is kind of like in their winter months. And why do you think that is? Well, it's because is it directly going towards the southern hemisphere? No, not really. It's getting some sunlight, but not as much as the northern hemisphere. And so because the southern hemisphere isn't getting as much sunlight and it's almost tilted away from the sun a little bit more, it doesn't get as much sunlight. Their days are going to be shorter, and when they go outside, it's going to be a little colder. So the north, when the Earth is at this point in its rotation, the north is in the summer months, and the southern hemisphere are kind of like in their winter months. So if we kind of reverse it, and we say that now the Earth has made its way all the way over here, I'm sorry. It's now tilted on its axis. It's still tilted on its axis, but what do you notice? What's different about them? If you notice, now the southern hemisphere, they're getting the most direct sunlight. So what does that mean? Well, it means that they're getting more sunlight. It's warmer in the southern hemisphere. They're getting their spring and summer months. What do you notice about the northern hemisphere? Is the sunshine going directly towards the northern hemisphere? Nope, it's not. So if the northern hemisphere isn't getting as much sunshine or as much warmth, what seasons do you think that they're in? It'd be fall, or they'd be in winter. So when we go back to this question, why can't it always be springtime, and what causes seasons to change? Well, for one thing, it's because the Earth is rotating on its axis and it's being tilted. Like for example, the southern hemisphere is being tilted towards the sun right here, so they get the summer months. The northern hemisphere is kind of being tilted away, so they get colder air, so they get the winter and fall months. And then when it finally rotates all the way back over here, and it gets back here, because of the Earth's tilt, and I want you to remember that, the Earth's tilt, the northern hemisphere is being tilted towards the sun, and so they get the warmer months here, and the southern hemisphere gets the winter months there. All right, so there's probably a lot to that. These videos were a little bit longer. So we talked about inertia, gravity, rotation, revolution, Earth's tilt, its axis, its orbit, and why seasons change. I know there's a lot to that, but if you just kind of review these videos, if you have any questions, just email me. All right, that's it for this one.